you got the Buffalo Bills still making the playoffs here. What was it 10-7? I think 10-7 is what you had the Buffalo Bills at. So talk to me about the Bills, who you think their offensive MVP is before we get to defensive MVP, and why you have them still making the playoffs.
I have them 10-7 and getting to the wild card round. I don't believe, obviously, they'll win the division. I have the Jets for that. But look, if you have Josh Allen, you have a chance. I think he's proven to us enough time for as much criticism as he gets. I really think it's unwarranted. I think he's unquestionably one of the three best quarterbacks in the league, right? And you've got a guy who just now year in and year out, ever since that third-year breakout, obviously I know it came with the Stephon Diggs trade, and now we're getting post-Stephon Diggs trade with them sending him to Houston, but I think Allen's now ascended beyond the part where, Stephon Diggs is the reason that he's successful. Listen, Trevor, he's had an overall grade above 90 in 4 straight seasons. The only other quarterback in PFF history to do that is Tom Brady. That's how good he is.
Never heard of him.
As a dual threat. Tampa Bay legend Tom Brady. That's what we know him for. Look, if you have Allen, you have a chance. And it showed last year down the stretch when they installed Joe Brady as their offensive coordinator, started spreading the ball around more. Stephon Diggs didn't have a 100-yard game beyond, I think, week 5 or 6. That was the last time he had a 100-yard game last year. This offense started to succeed when they ran the ball with James Cook, when they ran the ball with Josh Allen, when they spread the ball around to guys like Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. It didn't become so like Stephon Diggs gets 15 targets a game. I think they really got away from that for the better, right? I mean, we got to remember they started 6-6 last year, and Allen it really felt like he was carrying the load, right? And then down the stretch, they got more balance. They started running the ball, and I think he gets shortchanged for how good he is at seeing coverages, right? Like everybody wants to get on him about the Chiefs game, the playoff loss, right? They sat back. They didn't blitz him, I don't think, a single time all game. They sat back in too high, and Josh Allen did what Josh Allen actually does now, and that's take what the defense gives him. And he kept his team in the game against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, right? There's times where you look at the playoff game against the Steelers, right? Everybody goes, oh, he scored that long touchdown run. It was the Kenny Pickett fake slide. But you know what they don't talk about is I believe he got a 0 blitz on that play and recognized it pre-snap and just took off because, well, I don't know why anyone runs man coverage against Josh Allen with his feet. He does not get enough credit just for all around how good he is, honestly. They talk about the interceptions and this and that. He actually had the best turnover-worthy play rate of his career last season. So he's putting the ball in danger less than ever. He's one of the elite runners in the game. He's got probably maybe the strongest arm we've ever seen. If you have 17 in Buffalo, you've got a chance, and I think their weaponry is still underrated. I think he can carry this offense to the postseason at least. I don't think they're a Super Bowl caliber team, but that's not because of Josh Allen. He's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I think he's one of the 3 best quarterbacks in football. And if you have a guy that good running your offense, you always have a chance to make the playoffs, and I think they will.
It's really hard for me to pick against Josh Allen making the playoffs for the reasons that you mentioned. I think he's a top 3 quarterback in this league. When you look at how he played last year, second highest big time throw percentage of his career, lowest turnover worthy play percentage of his career. I mean, the guy is he is playing his best ball right now. He is an MVP caliber player, and he's one of the most impactful players in the entire NFL. That's why, to me, there's no way this team is winning less than 8 games, even with all the changes that they had. But to me, Dalton, I just wonder if all of those changes, you mentioned it before, everything that was on Josh Allen's plate last year, there's even more this year. And I fear that with the schedule they have, it's just going to be a little too much. You've got some changes on the defense that they've got to kind of get worked out. And we know the defense takes a little bit of chemistry to really become that type of a team. With the offense, obviously, you're moving on from Stephon Diggs. I know they didn't lean on him as much as they did in the past. The same for Gabe Davis. But with those new guys leaving, I mean, it is, again, chemistry building that will take time with that offense. You've got a little bit of changes along the offensive line as well. And Dalton, here's the schedule for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it is a gauntlet here. They're playing Dolphins, the Ravens, the Texans, the Jets. Obviously, they play twice. The Dolphins, obviously, they play twice as well. But you're traveling from Buffalo to Seattle in Week 8. You're playing the Chiefs. You get them at home. But Week 11, you're playing the Chiefs. I mean, that's obviously a tough one. You're traveling to LA to face the Rams. You're traveling to Detroit to face the Detroit Lions. Like, outside of their division, which I think is one of the better divisions in the league, their outside schedule is tough, especially the fact that they're playing a lot of those games across the country on the road. And so I just wonder if it's a little too much. I obviously have Josh Allen as the MVP as well, because if they're going to make the playoffs, it is going to be on his shoulders, on his back, however you want to say it. I mean, if the Bills make the playoffs this year, Josh Allen is winning MVP. Josh Allen will win league MVP this year if the Buffalo Bills make the playoffs, because of how tough that schedule is and what will be asked of him in order to do so. So that's kind of where I'm at with Josh Allen. But what about defensive MVP? Who do you guys defensive MVP for this team?
I got a guy who's really broken out, and especially broke out last year with Von Miller's injury and never really recovering to come back, in a defensive front that's kind of been slowly kind of fading on us, even though they still have some good players. You've got Ed Oliver on the inside who got his new contract. He's a good player. And you got guys like A.J. Epinesa who can make plays. But Greg Rousseau is their best defensive player now off the edge. Is he third year or fourth year man out of Miami? He's just become that guy that they thought he would be when they took him in the first round, right? And it's a shame that Von Miller did get hurt year before last, and then it carried into last year, because they would have been a really, really good pair off the edge. But Rousseau is a guy that just brings constant pressure. I know the sacks, are going to come with pressure. It always happens, right? Or at least it's a huge correlator. But he's the guy. He's the guy up front that when you line up against Buffalo, you go, okay, we have to block that guy. He's got length. He's got athleticism. He's got power. He's got a little bit of everything. He's good in the pass and the run games. Greg Rousseau has become quietly one of the best defensive ends in the league. He's their best player. And they had some guys emerge on the back end as well. But I couldn't ignore just how good Rousseau was last year. And he's going to continue to be their best player on the defensive line.
I agree with you. I think that he's got to be their defensive MVP. I really do. For as much as I think they've got changes behind him and in the rest of the front seven in the secondary, Greg Rousseau has to continue to ascend to be that pass rusher. 90.1 preseason grade this year to, piggyback off of him having an 85.6 grade last season. I think this year he gets double-digit sacks for the first time in his career, and he's shown what kind of a mismatch player that he is. When we watched him in Miami, I remember scouting him. Like Miami, he was just such a uniquely built individual with those big long arms and that big frame of his. Like they played him everywhere from a 0 technique all the way out to a wide 7, a 5 technique, whatever he played the most there. And he's obviously got a home as an edge rusher here for the Bills, but it just goes to show you what kind of a mismatched player this is because of how he is built and how uniquely athletic he is for his size. So I think that he continues to take that step, and I agree with you that he is going to be MVP. Breakout player. Who you guys is the breakout player for this group?
So this is a fun one because he started to break out in the second half of last year. He had his moments. He had a long touchdown, I believe an 75, 80-yard touchdown against the Jets, and that's Khalil Shakir at wide receiver. Look, I've loved this guy ever since he was at Boise State, and honestly, there was times in his Boise State tape a few years ago where basically the play was just throw it to Shakir because we have no other answers. And they would throw it to him 4, 5, 6, 7 plays in a row, and he would carry them to wins. Look, I thought when they drafted him, 1, they got an absolute steal, and 2, that was right around the time that Cole Beasley had left or was on the way out. And I thought he could be a direct replacement to Cole Beasley, right? And we remember when they had Beasley and Diggs and John Brown back, they had a really good 11 personnel setup. The Bills were arguably the best 11 personnel, 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 receivers. One of the best, if not the best, 11 personnel team in the league. They started to get away with that last year when they drafted Dalton Kincaid. A lot more 12 personnel with 2 tight ends. Shakir wasn't on the field as much. And one thing they noticed in the midseason last year when Dawson Knox got hurt, and they really only had Dalton Kincaid to work with at tight end, they were forced to go back to 11 personnel. It wasn't the original plan, but that meant Shakir was the guy getting on the field more. And all of a sudden, they rediscovered that magic in that package, right? So you're talking about now you've got Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid. They're still going to have times where they can go to 2 tight ends with Kincaid and Knox on the field, but I think they should mix it up a lot more. I think Shakir has shown he can be efficient enough in that offense. He did it last year at 76.9 receiving grade. They've been looking for a replacement for Cole Beasley ever since he left. Josh Allen loved finding Cole Beasley on third downs and one-on-one situations. This is a guy I think who has the same skill set and might even be better than after the catch than Beasley was. I think it makes a huge difference. The more personnel packages, the more looks that Buffalo can give opposing defenses, the better, right? Again, we talk about there isn't going to be one guy that gets 120 targets this year. But I think it's possible, especially on third down, that Shakir, if they play enough 11 personnel, he could lead the team in targets. He could lead the team in catches, and he could make a lot of clutch catches for them. We even saw him in the playoffs against Pittsburgh with a couple of big catches in that game. Shakir, to me, is a guy with talent. He's a guy with savvy. He's a guy Josh Allen can trust, especially on late downs. And if the Bills are going to mix up personnel packages and get out of some 12 personnel sometimes and go to 11, then Shakir is a key guy for their offense.
Yeah, I like Shakir a lot. I liked him when he was coming out of Boise State. Again, he felt like a guy who, no matter how much they put on his plate while he was at Boise State, he was going to deliver for them. And I think that he's been underutilized in Buffalo. It's been understandable why some of the guys have been in front of him on the depth chart, but now is his time, and I think that he's going to be able to show up, and I like that one. Charles G is asking us to shout out Terrell Bernard, the linebacker for the Buffalo Bills, in the chat here. Shout out to him. 999 snaps played last year, the most on the Bills defense. So this is obviously somebody that they see as a workhorse and somebody who we have a decent pass rush grade to as a blitzer, actually. 16.7 pass rush win percentage. So could be a good call out there from Charles G as somebody who can help attack the pocket and help that defensive line that we were talking about when we were going through our little Rousseau chat. Dalton Kincaid is the breakout player for me. I think that Dalton Kincaid has the ability to be wide receiver one on this team, right? I know that he's labeled a tight end, but I think that he could lead this team in targets. I know people are talking about Shakir and people are talking about Keon Coleman and guys like that, but I think that there is a good chance that they're going to try to run this offense through Dalton Kincaid, who I think was one of the best receiving tight ends out of his class, although it was a good one that he was in. So that's kind of saying a lot, and I don't want to disrespect some of the other guys that were in that class because it was a really good one, but he was sort of up at the top, and I know a lot of people talk about him as a tight end one type of a player, and it's because of what he can do as a receiver. So fully healthy year from Dalton Kincaid. I think that he leads the team in targets. He leads the team in receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. I mean, kind of who knows? Those are always a little bit of a coin flip, but I think that that is within the realm of possibility as well. So I got to shout out Dalton Kincaid. Last one, who's breaking out from the rookies from the Buffalo Bills? Who you got?
Staying at the same position, I'm going with Keon Coleman on the outside, right? We already covered Shakir and Kincaid on the inside. I'm going Keon Coleman. I really think he's going to have every opportunity to succeed in this offense. I know he's not the most polished route runner, but when you talk about a guy who can make contesting catches, go up and get balls out of the strike zone, look, the Bills haven't had a guy like that. Even Stephon Diggs, he made a few out of, extending his catch radius kind of catches. Keon Coleman's just exceptional with it, right? You're talking about a guy who's 6'4", former basketball player, just a freak athlete, a guy that Allen can look to on the move to make tough catches in tight coverage. I really think Coleman, I do. I just think this whole offense is going to come together. I don't think they're going to have as many issues as people think, as long as they can run block and stay balanced in the run game. But with Coleman and Shakir and Samuel and Kincaid and Knox, all these weapons, I think Coleman's going to contribute just as much as the rest of these guys. And again, I don't think he has to be the movable chess piece that Stephon Diggs was. I think Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir can do that. Coleman just has to make the tough catches for him, right? And just make those catches, the 50-50 balls, sometimes you see the freak one-handed catches that just blow everybody away. And look, I know fans already love him for the world's best press conferences already, but he's just as talented on the field, okay? It's a little bit of both. I mean, I think he's going to put up a really good rookie season. I don't know about like a rookie of the year type season because they're going to be very balanced on offense, but I think he is going to be one of the better rookie receivers, especially with Josh Allen throwing to him.
Hey, you got faith from your lips to hopefully God's ears if you're a Bills fan for sure, because I think it might take a little bit of time for Coleman, but hey, I'd love to see him put on a show because you mentioned kind of that athletic background. I mean, he's got some crazy athleticism. I'd love to see it in Buffalo. The best rookie that I'm going to go with Cole Bishop, the versatile defensive back in their secondary. When Bishop was drafted by the Buffalo Bills on draft weekend, I remember immediately just thinking, yes, perfect sense, because Bishop was such a versatile player while he was with the Utah Utes. In his career, he had 727 snaps as a box safety, so sort of a strong safety that was a lot closer to where the box was. 449 snaps as a slot defender, 421 as a deep safety, a true versatile defensive back. And why? Is because the dude plays with his hair on fire at all times, and Utah wanted to give him the ability to roam around the field, play a lot of different positions, and honestly, just get him as close to where the ball was going to be, where they thought the ball was going to end up while the play was going on. Whether it was a run play play or a pass play, because again, he would fire downhill with tenacity. I mean, he's a hyper competitive player. Missed a little bit of time throughout this training camp with a shoulder injury, but it looks like it's not going to be something that's too serious. He's going to be back in that lineup, or at least in the early parts of the season. They're going to be able to work him in there. I don't know exactly where he's going to play when it comes to slot versus deep or strong safety roles, but I think they're going to try to rotate him in a lot of different ways, because no matter where you put him, and even with him being a rookie, he's going to give you everything he's got. And it felt like a Sean McDermott type of a defensive back that we have seen from Buffalo and the culture there over the last couple of years. So I'm really excited to see Cole Bishop in that defense. I think they're going to let this dude fly, and I think that he's going to reward them for those early snaps that he is going to get.